Hello guys, today I'm bringing you my Hazy HazyKings deck, and as it's kind of self-explanatory. It's got the Hazys from the Cosmo Blazer booster set, and it's got the Fire Kings from the Onslaught of the Fire King structure deck. It's kind of budget. There's some staples, there's some, cards that you can't just get, and like staples and stuff, but it's pretty budget. And I've had really good luck with this deck. It's got a lot of usage out of it, and it's all been pretty well. I've done really well with this deck, and and it really helps that it's not based on Garunics like most Fire King decks are, but it actually has a Hazy core with a Fire King's backup plan, kinda. It's kind of more of a backup plan, if you can do it, you can do it thing. But alright, we'll get right into it. So, first off, we have two Fire King Garunicses. I don't like three. 3 is too cloggy, 2 is just right, and it allows you, and if you can get a chain going between the two Garunicses using like Circle or something, Circle of the Fire Kings, you can definitely get a nice destruction engine going. Next up, we have 2 Barong, 2 Fire King Barong, and so this one, it goes under the effect of Rekindling, so you can use it, and it's a level 4, so you can go for the level 4 exceeds, and it's a Beast Warrior, so it can work under 10 key and stuff. It's just a decent all-around card. Allows you to add a Fire King's card to your hand when it's destroyed by a card effect. During the standby phase afterwards, you can add a Fire King's card to your hand. It doesn't say monster, so that means Circle and Onslaught will also fall into this effect along with Garunics if you need to get it into your hand for something. Okay, so that's my only Fire Kings. I don't run whatever the other 2 Fire Kings are. I think it's Yamcha something and the Corinne. I don't think they don't have really any motion in the deck, and they're just kind of not good for the deck. So next up we go into the Hazy core, which is 3 Hazy Flame Cerebrarius, and these are really good beaters because they go into the Rekindling. You can use Hazy Pillar to bring them out, which we'll get into later. They're 2000 attack, 200 defense, so they go into Rekindling. And their effect is you can normal summon it, but its attack becomes 1000, and your opponent cannot destroy this card. Cannot target this card with card effects, and when this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Hazy card from your deck to your hand. So that doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what it is. You can add it to your hand. So it's a good way to get pillars out, or another Hazy if you need it. So, Hazy Flame Cerebrarius, 3 of them. Really good card. Really makes the deck work. Next we have the other Hazy. Well, I guess there's more Hazys, but we have 3 Hazy Flame Sphinx. And what this pretty much is you guess what the top card of your deck is. Monster, spell, or trap, and if you're right, you get a special summon 1 Hazy monster from the graveyard. And so, but you only have to make this fast once per turn. You can special summon 1 fire monster from your hand or graveyard. So it's a really good way that if you need to get something out, so you can, if your Cerebrarius was destroyed, bring out a Sphinx. Use Sphinx's effect, call the top card, boom, Cerebrarius exceeds into Battle Trice. Really easy. So that's why there's 3 of them in the deck. They're really good, especially with Hazy Pillar. You don't need to tribute. So there's a lot of level 6s in this deck, but that's because of Hazy Pillar. It allows you to summon them for no tributes. So alright. So next we have 2 Periton. This is kind of like you discard Periton and 1 card monster from your hand, 1 fire monster from your hand, and you can special summon 2 Hazy Flame monsters from your deck. So it's kind of like, I don't really know what to call it. But it's a good motion gaining effect, so you can get out, for the price of 2 cards in your hand, or on the field essentially, you can special summon 2 Hazys, boom, go into a Battle Trice, or go into any level 6 exceeds you need. And it doesn't even have to, so, that's a good way to get into a level 6 exceeds if you need it. Then we have 2 Hazy Flame Hippogriff. These are really good beaters. You can attribute 1 other fire monster, and its attack will go up by 300. And they're 200 defense points each, so they fall into the effect of Rekindling. And they're level 6, so you can use the Rekindling strategy to bring them all out, and then go for an exceeds into a really heavy Battle Trice. And so that's all we have for Hazys, and we'll move into our Flamvels now. It's got a little Flamvel bit, but because they're necessary. And so we have 3 Flamvel Fire Dog. I got the super rare from the Astral Pack. So we have 3 Flamvel Fire Dog, and pretty much what this is, if you destroy a monster, you can bring out a monster if you're destroying an opponent's monster, you can bring out a monster of your own from your deck with the defense of 200 or less, except for Flamvel Fire Dog, and it has to be a fire monster. So it's a good way to bring out Barong, Cerebrarius, Hippogriff, or even Flamvel Magician, which we'll get into in a little bit. So it's a good way to just get more motion on the field. That's what a lot of this deck is. A lot of the deck is getting motion and keeping the motion. And so next we go into 1 Flame Veil Magician. This is used for Stardust Dragon. That's it. Effect's kind of pointless because there's no Allied Justices in my deck. I don't know who the fuck runs Allied Justices. Nobody. Alright, so that's pretty much just there to synchro into Stardust Dragon. And then last we have Sacred Phoenix and Nethys, which is pretty much a Garunix with less attack, but it's got the same effect, and it's instead of monsters, it wipes the spell and trap card zone instead of the field. So pretty much you can get a chain of this and Garunix going, you can easily sweep the field. Clean of everything. Alright, so that's all we have for monsters. Next we'll move into our spells. And here we have 3 Onslaught of the Fire Kings. Now this is a really, really good card and essential of the deck. Because what it allows you to do is special summon 1 Fire Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster from your deck. Its effect's negated and is destroyed at the end of the turn. So that's an easy way to bring out Sacred Phoenix and Nethys, or Garunix, or Barong. Or even any of the monsters in this deck, it'll work for them. But these are the 3 you really want to focus on because it destroys them at the end of the turn. Yeah, I guess you could do Cerberius too, because it'll activate its effect as well. So pretty much, well, actually you won't because it's negated. Alright, so you use that, you get those 3, and just destroy at the end of the turn, so their effects kick in, so you can add something to your hand like that. So that's 3 Onslaught. Next we have 3 Circle of the Fire Kings, and what this card is, it's a quick play, and what it allows you to do is take 1 fire monster on your field, destroy it, and special summon 1 fire monster from your graveyard. So this is a good way to get the Garunix chain started. Get Garunix up in there if you didn't, like something happened and your Onslaught didn't go through, or your Garunix lost all of its field presence. You can get rid of the Garunix, bop, special summon something else from your graveyard that you need back, and then boom, you have a Garunix chain going again. So it's a really good card to have. It helps you keep the momentum, and then, it's a Fire King's card, and then you can use it search it with Barong. Next we have 2 Hazy Pillar. I tried running 3 for a bit and it didn't work out too well, so we're going to stick with 2. And so what this is you can normal summon Hazy Flame monsters for 1 less tribute, and once per turn you can target 1 Xyz monster you control and attach a Hazy Flame monster to that Xyz monster. Doesn't matter the level, just you can attach it as an Xyz material. So it's a good way to refuel your Xyzs with Xyz materials. So you can just, if you need to keep your Utopia out to stall for more time, you can attach a Hazy, bam, you have a new Xyz material. So 2 of those is really good. And next, a good card that really make the OTK, if you need to, is Rekindling. So what this does is allows you to summon up to 5 monsters with a defense of 200 or less, fire monsters with 200 defense or less. And so during the end phase, all the monsters that are special summoned by this effect are banished, but that doesn't matter because you usually go into some Xyz that really negates the effect of that happening. Like you go into a Basal Trice or you go into a level 4 Xyz with this deck. Or maybe even a Photon Strike Bouncer, but we'll get into that. Alright, so now we just have staple spells, 2 MST. I run my 3rd MST in the side because I think 2 MST is good for right now. There really isn't a reason to run 3, I don't see. 1 Dark Hole, 1 Book of Moon. I used to have Heavy Storm and what else did I used to have? I used to have Heavy Storm and Monster Reborn, but I had to take those out because ban rule changes. So these 2, pretty self-explanatory staples, good cards. And then trade in and Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial allows me to get Garunix in the grave in case I need to circle something, or just get any card in the grave that I need to bring out with Circle. And then trade is to get Garunixes out of my hand, since Garunixes in the hand are dead draws and they really have nothing to do because sacrificing for them is a pain and really unnecessary. So that's 1 trade in to do that. I have another trade in my side deck, so I can side it in if I need to. It depends on what they're playing. If they're playing cards that return to the hand, I need to have something to get Garunix back out of my hand and get them out of my hair. Then we have Torrential Tribute. We're going into the traps. We have Torrential Tribute as a staple. I used to run 2, but I now have to run 1 because of ban list changes. 1 Call of the Haunted. 1 Mirror Force. I have the second one in the side. And then my last card is Spiritual Fire Art Kurenai. And this is a really interesting card because it destroys... You get a tribute 1 fire monster, and you inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. So the strongest monster in this deck is Garunix. Actually the strongest monster in this deck is Sun Dragon. We'll get into that. The strongest is Garunix unless it's boosted Basal Trice. If it's boosted Basal Trice, with the Exceed units, giving it the 300 additional 200 attack, then that's the most strong, powerful monster in the deck. But either way, you're doing at least a minimum of 2,700 with Garunix. So that's a really good card. And so it's a good way to finish off your opponent if you need to, or if you really need to get damage off. And now that's all I have for the main deck. We'll move into the extra deck now, starting with my level 4s. One Utopia as a staple Xyz. One Utopia Ray. Once again, it's just another way to build up. One Steel Swarm Roach to negate the summons of other decks, especially since Cyber Dragons might become a big thing. That's a really good card to have. One, and with my Hazy Pillar I can reload Roach whenever I need to. One Photon Papal Operative, once again a staple. And then Maestroke the Symphony Djinn, which is just, it's a nice card to have. It allows you to switch the attack positions of your opponent's monsters. And so it's just good for if you need time to do stuff or you need to take out a monster real quick. So those are my rank 4 Xyz. We'll move into now the rank 6 Xyz, and we have 4 of those. And so one Photon Strike Bouncer, which I negate the monster's card effect, and I can detach one. I can just inflict 1,000 damage to my opponent's life points while negating the effect. And we have 3 Hazy Flame Basal Trice, the main card of the deck here. It's a Pyro. It's an Xyz monster. But its effect is really interesting because once per turn you can detach one Xyz material from this card to banish one of your opponent's monsters in the graveyard. And this its effects are based on the number of Xyz materials attached to it. So 3 or more, I gain 200 attack and defense for each Xyz material attached. With 4 or more, this card cannot be targeted by my opponent's card effects. And with 5 or more, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects. So once I get it to 5, it's pretty much invincible. Plus I get 1,000 attack points boosted because of the 3 effect. And see, these effects stack, which is the cool part. And so it's got 3 stackable effects based on how many materials you have, and with Hazy Pillar you can keep stacking up these materials to get to 5. You can have a max of 5 to make the card. I'm not quite sure what the ruling is past the 5 once it's been summoned, because you really don't see this deck very often, but this is the rarest card in the set. It's a ultimate rare, so it's not too bad. It's not that hard to get a hold of. This whole deck's pretty much either 10 promotions you can buy in a structure deck, or it's just buy a box of Cosmo Blazers and you pretty much have the deck. And then finally our level 8 Xyz, Sun Dragon Overlord of Heliopolis, because Garunix and Sacred Phoenix and Nethys are both ranked 8 monsters. You can easily get this card out because that's 3 of them. And so you detach an Xyz material to tribute any monsters from your hand and destroy that many cards on the field. So it's just a really good card if you need to field clear and Torrential Tribute or Garunix isn't cutting it. It's just a good monster to have. Plus it's got 3,000 attack, so it's a really good beater. And then finally, the synchro of the deck, Stardust Dragon. Pretty self-explanatory. You negate the activation of a spell or trap that targets one of your monsters that destroys a monster or a card effect, and you send this to the graveyard, and then you special summon it during your end phase. So it's just a good card to have. It really stops effects and stuff, and it just really helps you maintain your motion in the deck. And with only 1 tuner, I mean, it's not really like essential to play. You could probably side in Stardust Road instead of Flamveil Magician, or you could use both. I have a Stardust Road in my side deck in case I really need to make sure I need to use Stardust Dragon. So that's pretty much the deck. It's a relatively cheap deck. You just buy 3 structure decks of the Onslaught of the Fire Kings, which I don't know if you can find those anymore. I think you can. I think I saw them at Target recently. They had a bunch of them. And so you can pretty much buy these. It's a shame that this deck doesn't get as much use as it should, because it's a really good deck. And just Garunix has a lot of power and he's hard to stop. The only way to really end him is to banish him. because if you don't, his other effect, his battle damage effect kicks in, and it's a lot of, he's just a troublesome monster to deal with, and just pretty much the only way to banish him or the only way to deal with him is to banish him, and that's pretty much like the only counter to the deck. But then again, you still run on Basiltrice mostly, and Grabunix is just kind of a side thing. So, that's pretty much it. That's the deck. I will be coming up with more deck recipes and, doing more deck videos soon. So I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I will be bringing you another one fairly soon. Peace out.